welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. It has been a while since I have sat in this room and recorded a video, but I recently got back from Aruba about 2 weeks ago now, and if you haven't seen my Aruba honeymoon vlog, link in the description box below, go check it out. It's pretty cool actually, it kind of explores the island and everything, but today I thought that I would, it looks like I'm not wearing a shirt. I am, but I'm wearing this type of shirt for a reason. Today I'm going to be showing you what makeup I wore for my wedding day. And I was going to record this video before the actual wedding, but then I started realizing that I didn't know how it was going to perform in the Aruban heat and humidity, because it is extremely hot and humid there, like even worse than Alabama. Mainly on the humidity. It's not as hot because the wind is always blowing, but especially the humidity. I wanted to see how it wore in that. Like, I mean, I know that's kind of daring to like just pray that it's gonna work for your wedding day, but there wasn't any way for me to test these products before I went to Aruba for that type of weather. So I just took my most dependable products and used them all for that day, and it ended up really working out. My makeup looked really good for the pictures and everything, and I really liked the way it turned out. So I wanted to show you what I used and all of that stuff. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do in today's video. And by the way, the reason I am wearing a halter top, because this is actually what it is, and I really am wearing a shirt, I promise, is because my wedding dress was strapless. And I don't know if you can tell, but I have like different like colors going on here from like the sun. And I wanted to show you how I blended it like down my neck, how I blended my foundation down my neck to kind of like make it look all even for the pictures, because I didn't want it to look all splotchy in the pictures. So that is why I'm wearing this. But let's go ahead and get started. So I put my hair up, and I'm just gonna kind of jump in and explain the products I'm using and like how I used each of the products. So the very first product I used was this Maybelline Hyper Easy Brush Tip Liner. And it's this one. It looks really good. It's very black. It's very similar to the NYX Epic Ink Liner, but I like this formula just a little bit better. I did a tiny little wing. I'm gonna try to replicate that today because I wanted to do a wing, but I didn't want it to take over my whole face. And I really liked the way it ended up turning out. So let's see if I can get that to work today as well. All right, so that's pretty close to how I had it. It was, I would maybe say just a little bit thinner, like over here on the actual wedding day, but this is pretty close. It's not a huge wing, as you can see. I'm not really big into the huge wings. I feel like it kind of takes over my face. I just had like a tiny wing, just a little bit of definition, because I didn't want it being too much, because it is a wedding day. It's supposed to be a little bit softer. I mean, you can do whatever the heck you want on your wedding day, but for me, I wanted to go a little bit softer, especially with it being a beach wedding. This eyeliner did not fade or run or anything, and I teared up. I didn't cry because I cried before. Thomas cried, and it was so sweet. Oh my gosh. I think it is waterproof. I just can't find it on this particular packaging, but I think it is like when you buy it brand new. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this side real quick, and then we're gonna jump into mascara.
In the way you touch me, baby.
So there's the wings. I actually like the way this one turned out better. You can kind of see what it was more like on the wedding day. It was very, very thin and just like a little flick. I just wanted a little bit of definition. I've said this like 20,000 times in this video. It's like I don't know how to record anymore. But yeah, it's just like very subtle, but it does give you a little bit of a cat eye, and it really kind of frames your eyes well, especially when you like go in with mascara and eyeshadow, of course, afterwards. So what I did next was I took, there's mascara all over this, but I took the Voluminous Lash Primer by L'Oreal, and I coated this on twice. This is what I do all the time. And just to like prepare my eyelashes, I guess, prime my eyelashes for mascara, of course. And I really wanted to like make the eyes the center of focus, but not like make them to where they're overpowering. So, but I did want my lashes to look voluptuous and long, especially because I did not wear falsies, and I never wear falsies. Now that's a preference thing, of course. Like a lot of special occasions, especially a wedding, people want to wear falsies so you can see them, but for the kind of pictures we took, my eyes turned, like, you could see them from a distance in the pictures. And I didn't want falsies over, like, taking over my face. So I did want to make sure that my eyelashes looked like really, really good. And they did. And then what I went in with next was the Maybelline The Falsies Lash Lift. I've used this on my channel before. And the combination of the lash primer and this mascara really work nicely together. Like, it really helps the lashes curl and pop. Now, I do have like pretty curly eyelashes to begin with. They're just blonde, so you can't see them. But I don't know how this would perform necessarily with like somebody with straight hair. So you would have to probably try that out for yourself, because that really is like a personal thing. But in my opinion, it does hold a curl nicely. So what I did next was I waited. I put on like 3 coats of this mascara because I do that mostly with mascara anyway, but I really wanted them to pop on this particular day. So I waited for about 20 to 30 seconds and then I went in with the second coat. So we're gonna sit here and then I'm gonna come back and put some more coats of mascara on. All right, so I'm going into the second coat, and I do have it on my lid, but we're gonna take care of that. But even just with the first coat, it's pretty nice. The second coat really helps, but man, the third coat, when you go in with it, that is the game changer right there. It still looks really good. And then in about 15 seconds, I'm gonna go into the third coat. These sound like very precise, like second wait times, but I don't calculate this out. I just give you a guesstimate as to how long I waited on the actual day itself. All right, and onto the third coat. Yep, that third coat really makes a difference. Here is what the lashes look like. See how just like pretty they are? They're long, they're voluptuous, they're voluminous. So I just really like the way they look. You may not be able to tell now, but in pictures, my eyes really stood out. And I really wish it looked like I was wearing a shirt right now, but that's okay. Mom, if you're watching, I'm wearing a shirt. I really am, I promise. It's just not showing up on camera, and I didn't think that was gonna happen. But anyway, so a step I actually forgot on my wedding day, which is interesting, but a step I forgot was face primer. And I just completely forgot because I was talking to my mom, getting ready, and I was like, I didn't even realize it until I was halfway done with my concealer, and I was like, crap. It wasn't worth going back and like trying to fix it, because my base looked fine. I mean, it honestly, it didn't really look that different from where I actually wear primer. It didn't seem to like change the wear time of my makeup itself without primer. So I don't know if primer's a gimmick, or maybe it's like if you want to believe it works. I still wear primer now. I would have worn primer had I remembered it. And the primer I chose to wear on my wedding day that I forgot to actually put on was the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I love this primer. I love the consistency because it's not too matte and it's not luminous. It's just, it just like kind of like helps fill in your pores. So I only like apply it just in the T-zone pretty much. And so that's what I'm gonna do now, because I'm gonna come back to eyes, but I want my primer to be set. So when I go into foundation, like it's all ready to go basically. And you've seen me use this before. I just take my fingernail and just like kind of do that. Doop, doop. Fun little sound effects. And oops, that's a little bit too much on the forehead. There we go. I just kind of like dab it in. Well, it's like a rub dab motion, rub dab. And I just want to make sure I get all those pesky little pores, because my pores are pretty much only enlarged in the T-zone area, because like outside you can't really see them that much. And I just do the same thing all the way up. Once again, most of these steps you guys have seen before. I just wanted to really in-depth explain everything. So like if you have a special occasion coming up, or you know, a wedding coming up, and regardless of if you're the bride and you still want to look good, then you can, you know, follow this step by step if you want. Now, of course, I don't know how many weddings you're going to go to during COVID, because like I mentioned earlier in a video, none of like the wedding party was there or anything, just his parents, my parents, and then his brother came for support. I'm going to jump into eyes. And what I used for my eye primer is actually this thing I got from Yes Style. It's the Saem I hate that they have this barcode on there. It looks just like really gross. It's the Saem Perfecting Concealer. I actually really love this for eye primer. It reminds me a lot of the Makeup Revolution eye primer that I love so much, but that one is dried out, so I did go with this one for my wedding day, and it is a little bit yellow, but I liked the way it looked on my eye and like under my eyeshadow. So I just took it like that. This is a really great potted concealer. I find that this is my favorite format of eye primer. Like, I mean, I know technically this isn't a concealer, and I've actually never used it for that. I really should try it for that. But I just like this one. It's the easiest to maneuver, especially since I do my makeup in such a weird order. Like, I don't put eye primer on first before my eyeliner and mascara. I do it after. This one's just so much easier to not mess up what I've already put down, you know? And of course, most people don't have to worry about that. I just do my makeup in the strangest order. And then what I use to set it is the Wet n Wild Single Shadow in Brûlée. And I use this brush right here like I always do. And I just set it down. Like, there's nothing like seriously amazing about that. But I just wanted to make sure I had it set and everything. So now that I have that set down, the eyeshadow palette I chose for my wedding day was the Hangin In Hawaii BH Cosmetics palette. I chose this because, I mean, it's a relatively neutral palette other than like that and those two shades. I like this palette a lot because I really like cool toned eyeshadows, especially with my eye color. I just think it really complements my eyes nicely, and it just looks really nice and natural but defined. So it's just like the best of all worlds. So the shade I took on my outer, like the shade I took from the middle part out in my crease, perhaps is what I should say, is Maui. And I just took it on this Moda shader and smudge brush like I always use. And these shadows are very nice. They're very pigmented. So I do like to go in lightly. And I just started on the outside and brought it in. It already looks good. And I'm kind of like doing a dabbing rolling motion just to like the center. Other eye. So while I'm doing this, let's talk. It's been a while, guys. Took me forever to get to that point in my video. But so let me start off with, we had a huge power outage in the county I live in last night. And it was really random because Thomas and I couldn't sleep. It reminded me of the episode of Friends where they all can't sleep and like Phoebe's alarm is going off. And also the episode with the blackout, because everything makes me think of Friends apparently. And so Thomas couldn't sleep when we were talking, and then we started dozing off at like 1:30, and then at about 1:45-ish, we heard the AC shut off, and we tried to turn on some lights, and none of them turned on. And by the way, I'm taking the Real Techniques brush to kind of just blend it all in. But yeah, we tried to turn the lights on, nothing turned on, the fan shut off, everything went out. And then we looked outside and realized the entire apartment complex was completely like dark. And there's usually, you know, like lights in the breezeways of the apartments. And there were only like emergency floodlights on. So then we were like, I wonder if this is an apartment thing. And then we realized, we were like, let's just go for a drive because we're awake now, we might as well. And so we went for a little drive. And pretty much we just kept driving, and it was so weird. It was like in the twilight zone is what it felt like. And a bunch of traffic lights were out. Like, we live near a Kroger. The Kroger lights were pretty much out except for a few. Gas station lights were out. Like, and it went for a while, so we turned around and we looked it up and called Huntsville Utilities, because that's the power people that we use up here. And there was a huge power outage from all the way from like our county to Limestone County, which is a county over, and then to the Tennessee River, which is like 30 minutes away from where we live, the entrance of the Tennessee River. So As you can see, it's very like soft and pretty. It defines your eyes, but it's not like, boom, a bunch of color on your eyes. Boom, that was really loud. So that's all I actually did on that part and out of this palette. But I did use a liquid eyeshadow because let me tell you why I didn't go for any of the shimmering eyeshadows on that palette is because I didn't want them transferring on my eyeliner. And a liquid eyeshadow, especially the one that I used for the wedding day itself, was like, it doesn't transfer. It just, when you set it down and it sets, it's there. It doesn't go down. It doesn't go up. It just is where it is. And the one I used is the L'Oreal Brilliant Eyes in Crystal Shine. You guys have heard me talk about this before. I love this. It's my favorite. It's very moussey and it just is so easy to blend. So I always take it on the back of my hand and go in with my fingers from there. Take just like that much. And it's just a pretty like champagne-y gold-ish shade. And I take it on my middle finger and I just go on the lid to about right there. Gosh, she's so pretty. And my mom was like, I love your eye makeup. I'm like, good. At least it looks good to someone besides me. Even just like that, it looks so pretty. It adds a little something to the eyes. But once again, it's not overpowering. And we don't want to go for overpowering. At least I didn't for my wedding day. But anyway, yeah, the power outage was crazy. And then at about 2:30, like it all popped back on. And thank goodness, because I was super freaking out that the stuff in the fridge and the freezer was gonna go bad. And we just went grocery shopping like a week ago. And I was like, we're gonna make this last all month, or at least like 3 weeks into the month. And then I was like, I'm gonna have to rebuy all that stuff and we're trying to save money. It was crazy for about 50 minutes to an hour. But honestly, everything in the fridge was fine. I ate some ice cream at 2 in the morning. It was either eating ice cream or online shopping. So I think I chose the right choice for that moment because it was 2 in the morning. So, and I didn't regret it. On to other stuff. Let's talk, because you knew this was gonna come up. Let's talk Taylor Swift's album. Folklore, oh my gosh. She's a lyrical genius. Every time she comes out with something, I'm more and more blown away by her talent, especially with songwriting. She's an incredible songwriter. I just don't know if you can deny that. Of course, your own opinion. Some people hate her, and that's your prerogative. But my gosh, this is an amazing album. I think it should win a Grammy or something because it's just that good, in my opinion. It is definitely of an acquired taste. I think that if you like hard rock and metal, maybe not for you. I like hard rock, but I also am like super diverse in my music taste. I'm going back into this Real Techniques brush and just kind of making sure everything's blended together. But yeah, Taylor Swift's album is freaking amazing. I like all the songs. I think one of my favorites is definitely Cardigan. Gosh, I just like all of them. But Cardigan, August. I love August. It's August now, so I'm like, obviously we have to listen to it. I was listening to it for part of these clips in this video, by the way. And it's really cool because it's like a storyline of a love triangle. Most of it is. And so it's like Betty, James, and then this other girl who's like the other, you know, like the side chick, the other woman. And it's like singing songs from each of their perspectives, which is really cool. It's a great storytelling album. And then like some of the songs aren't related to that, but my gosh, I just can't stop listening to it. Definitely one of the best albums of the year. Poor Thomas like he can't escape listening to it because I'm the DJ. But it's like making me ready for fall because I'm ready to like listen to it on the back patio with like a glass of wine or like a cup of coffee or espresso or tea or something. Like it's just like that feeling album. And the last Taylor Swift album that made me feel like that was Red. So like I'm not gonna say that it's Red like 2.0 like some people are saying, because it's very different from Red. Like it's similar in like the storytelling aspect of Red, but like it's a different sound. So, and I think that the whole album flows, like it's like, it just flows so nicely together and I'm addicted to it. So honestly, Taylor Swift's music is my addiction. It is time for face. And what I used, and nobody's gonna be surprised, is the L'Oreal Freshwear Foundation. I actually mixed 2 different shades. So as you can see, they're both very different, but this is the best like color combination I could find to go with like my arms and legs and stuff. And I use shade 470 and 420. I'm sure there's probably a better shade in there for me, but I just haven't found it yet. So I've been mixing these 2. Also, sorry if you can hear my space heater. This is the coldest room in the apartment and the vent is right above me and I'm freaking freezing. So you're just gonna have to excuse that. I get really cold really easily. So I take 4 pumps of 470, just in case you're anywhere near my skin tone. And then 2 pumps of 420. And I just mix those together. I have it all nice mixed up on the palette. It definitely matches better on the skin. So I know that this might cause some controversy, especially with the YouTube drama that's been going on, but I use the Tati Beauty Blendful. Honestly, I truly like this. I think it makes my makeup look the smoothest and it really helps just blur my pores and everything. So yeah, I used this. I thought it was reliable and great enough for my wedding day. So if that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know. Just take it like I normally do. And I did apply my foundation like I always do, so I'm just probably gonna fast forward this part because you guys have seen this a million times. And also, I have some breakouts. I was blessed enough on my wedding day and for that entire 2 weeks I was in Aruba to not have any breakouts. It was amazing. I miss those days. And then my time of the month came and then this stuff happened, so yay. And by the way, yes, I know there's a drastic difference in between my face and neck once I put this on, but it's because my arms are so much darker and that's why I'm wearing this strapless shirt so you can see like how I'm gonna blend it all and make it look like super seamless. Also, this up here, those are not pimples. That is actually from Thomas's car door hitting me in the face because I have so much left. So real quick, I'm making sure to blend this as close to and a little bit on my ear as possible. Same with the hairline, but the hairline I'm trying to stay away from the actual hair so it doesn't get cakey and orange because like being a blonde, that's a problem. I don't know how much it is for like a brunette, but you still don't want to get makeup in your hair for pictures because you don't want to look cakey even if it doesn't look cakey in person. So that's just a quick tip. This is what my foundation is looking like so far. I'm gonna drag it down the neck in a second, but I did want to break and show you my concealer. I actually had a concealer combo that I wore on my wedding day, and I discovered this before my wedding and loved it so much. And it is the combination of the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Concealer in the shade Fair, and then also the Colourpop No Filter Concealer in the shade Light 16. This one's a little bit yellower, this one's a little bit more neutral, and I'm gonna show you how I do it because I do it a specific way. I just take this one, like, this is not a super high coverage concealer. It becomes more full coverage the longer you let it sit, which is what I did. Just kind of like doing that, like feathering it out like that. And then what I did with the Colourpop concealer is I take it, I wipe off most of the excess on the doe foot and just take it right here. Just like a little bit under this part of the eye. And it just looks super good. So I'm gonna let that sit for about 30 seconds. And while I do that, I'm gonna show you how I dragged my foundation down my neck to make it kind of all neutralize and not look like this. So I do like kind of like dab it in. I'm even gonna go like on my, is this your décolleté? My chest? A décolleté sounds fancier. Alexa, what is your décolleté?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Thanks for being so helpful. So I think this is your décolleté. I asked Alexa, she was no help. But down, because you want to, like, especially when you're wearing a strapless dress, you want it to be the same because it's going to show up in pictures when it's not, because these are high quality cameras, obviously. And I just kind of like am dabbing it like I would on my face and just kind of dragging it. I'm trying not to drag down because that ages you, but I kind of forget that. So then we're gonna take it on my chest. And this is why I wore this silly shirt. And by the way, my foundation, especially in pictures, matched my body perfectly. So it might look kind of funny here, but like in the pictures, there was like really no like demarcation lines. There was no like, oh, her foundation doesn't match her arms. Like it all pretty much matched, even if it's not looking exactly like it right now. It's time to blend in my concealer. And I'm gonna take this e.l.f., ignore the dirty side, but this is the clean side. I'm gonna take this e.l.f. beauty sponge. I love this sponge. It's perfect for this. And it's so, like, it's probably one of my all-time favorite sponges. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it. But I'm just gonna take it and blend my concealer with it. So this is the concealer before the powder, and it just looks so smooth and good. I love this concealer combination. Honestly, it's probably like my favorite concealer look that I've found so far. So now I'm gonna set it though before it starts creasing, because it does crease and I'm fine with that because I always set my concealer. I'm gonna go into this Covergirl, what is this? Advanced Radiance powder. It's like, what is this? I use this all the time, but I don't remember what it's called. And I'm gonna take it on my Tati Beauty Blendiful and just kind of like go under a little bit to set it. And you're gonna make fun of me here in a second because I'm gonna also bake a little bit. And you're probably at the end of this gonna go, that's a lot of layers of makeup, Monica. I was working with humidity. I wanted it to look the best it could. I did today because I always wear SPF, but I did not wear SPF on my wedding day because of flashback. And so just keep that in mind. I only wore the CeraVe face lotion, like the daily face lotion, which I love. It's just no nonsense, it's awesome. But now I'm gonna go into the, I'm just gonna show you the lid, the L'Oreal Infallible loose powder, my favorite loose powder of all time. I'm gonna take it on the same e.l.f. sponge I was using for the concealer and run it under my eyes and pretty much every other baking area to make sure that I don't have any creasing and stuff. Crazy. And while I let this sit, I'm going to show you my eyebrow combination. It's nothing extraordinary. It's the same thing you've seen me do 10,000 times. And this one I always go in with last, so you'll see that like a little bit later in the video. But I went in with my CoverGirl eyebrow pencil, and I just love this pencil. It's perfect for pretty much any blonde. I don't really know a lot of blondes that don't have like ashy toned eyebrows, like natural blondes. And so this is just a great eyebrow pencil. And aside from the color, I love the right now I'm gonna wipe off my bake and whatnot and just kind of fluff that off, and then we're gonna go into like actual setting powder. And yes, I know this is a lot of layers, but you know what, honestly, aside from it being necessary to keep my makeup on in Aruba, sometimes it's necessary to keep my makeup on in Alabama too, because it gets super humid. The face powder I chose, and I always pretty much wear, for my wedding day is the Physicians Formula Mineral Wear Powder in Translucent, and I'm taking this Sonia Kashuk powder brush. I love this brush, it's super dense, it packs it on nicely. And I'm gonna take it, kind of hit off the excess, and just pat it into my face. Really concentrating it in the areas that are like for bronzer and contour. Also this is like going back to like 20 minutes ago in my time, but another song I really love from Taylor Swift's Folklore album is Exile, featuring Bon, I think it's Aver. I thought it was Ivor, but I've heard people pronounce it Aver, so I think that's it. It's a really amazing song, honestly. Just the entire album is amazing. And then Billie Eilish came out with a song. I think she came out with a couple songs, but the one I've heard so far, I also am dragging this down my neck because I dragged my foundation down my neck. Billie Eilish came out with a song called My Future, and it was really good. Just heard a thump. And it's really good. Her vibrato in that song is spot on. If you don't know what that is, vibrato is like when somebody adds waves, for lack of a better definition. It's basically when somebody adds waves to their note that they hold out. The technical term of it is like moving up and down repeatedly or repetitively up and down a half step. in notes. But yeah, it's super great. Gosh, there's just so much great music out. I also really like Gabby Barrett's new album. If you don't know who Gabby Barrett is, she won, oh no, she was runner-up, oh, it's raining. She was runner-up in American Idol, I think like 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know, but her album Goldmine is really good. It's definitely like country, very reminiscent of like Carrie Underwood type vibes, and I really like Carrie Underwood. Anyway, back to the makeup real quick. So the contour I used is the Kat Von D Shade and Light contour. This is the Lucid and Sombre duo. And I really like this contour. I like how cool toned it is. I don't go in super hardcore with contour. I just kind of like swipe it and then like tap most of it off because I don't like it to be super defined. But I do like to show off a little bit of like my cheekbones. And we're gonna kind of blend that out in a second with my Eco Tools brush. So on the other side now, see how like a little amount I have on there? And I'm still gonna blend it out because I just wanna make sure it's all nice and blended. And I'm taking this Eco Tools brush and just kind of, you know, blending out all the harsh edges. Now that that is all blended, I'm gonna go into bronzer, and the bronzer that won, because I've been trying out a lot of bronzers recently, was this cult favorite, the Maybelline City Bronzer, and this is in the lightest shade 100. And I'm just gonna take it on the same brush, pat most of it off, and just go in right above and right kind of on top of that contour. I want it to look sun-kissed but natural. A little bit under here, a little bit down the neck, and then a little bit on the temples. I took the tiniest bit on the forehead. I don't like to overly bronze my forehead because I feel like it can make like somebody's forehead look like muddy and kind of closed off. But see just like how pretty that looks. Gosh, I love this bronzer. So after that, what I did was I took this Too Faced Turn Up the Light palette, and this is in the light range. And this got a lot of like heat from people saying they didn't like it or whatever. I like it. I liked it enough to use it on my wedding day. I use it in a very specific way though. I don't do traditional highlight. I don't really like that method. It looks good on other people, but in certain lights, I've noticed it like it's literally just like a stripe. So I try to make it look more natural. And so I go in with this e.l.f. powder brush to this middle shade called Soft Focus, and I just take it right underneath my eyes. I mentioned this on my channel before, and gosh, I just really love this stuff. I think this is the only truly high-end thing I used besides my lipstick for my wedding day. Everything else was like, yeah, everything else was drugstore. So you can get it done on a budget. And what I did was I took this Wayne Goss, I love this brush, my friend Melissa got this for me for my birthday last year. But I took it and I go into Glow, went into Glow, and then I put it just on the tip of my nose first, and then I kind of just like lightly drag it up the bridge. And see, and then, oh, I meant to do that. And then a little bit on the upper lip. I just like the soft, subtle glow this adds. It's not like straight up highlight to where I look like I'm like beaming, but it's very natural, very pretty. It doesn't look like sparkles on your face, which I like because I don't like the look of sparkles. I just like highlighter to be like a kiss of highlighter, like a little kiss. Now we're getting into the final steps. One thing I did before I go to eyebrows and lips is I went back into this palette and I took this flat angled e.l.f. brush and I go into Maui, which was that shade I used on my eyes, and just drag it lightly under the lower lash line to kind of, once again, bring a little subtle focus. It's just so pretty. Then I go back into the Falsies lash lift and kind of just lightly put a little mascara on that lower lash line. Let's do the eyebrows real quick. I do go back in and just comb them up one more time with the spoolie. I make sure they're all combed. And then I go into the Maybelline Brow Fast Sculpt in the shade Blonde. Perfect shade of blonde, by the way. And I wipe off the excess and I go in with the bigger end right here. And just because it's not as, doesn't disperse as much product as the other side. And then I just set those. Gosh, that brow combination is so perfect. And so, last but not least, I did my lips. And what I settled for was the Milani Easy Liner in Most Natural. And I just lined them because I wanted my lips to be noticeable but not overpowering. And it's just kind of like your lips, but better, or in my case, way better. Alright, so the lipstick I decided to go in with was the Nabla, what is this called? It's just called Nabla lipstick. It's the one with the super pretty packaging. I love this lipstick. This is forever going to have a special place in my heart now because I decided on it for my wedding day. And it's in the shade Lust. That's an appropriate name. And it pretty much matches the lip liner. So the reason I went with that lipstick, by the way, is because I wanted something that wasn't too loud. I wanted like kind of a nude, but not like super nude where you couldn't see my lips. I did want that before, and then I was realizing, and Thomas's mom and my mom reminded me that in pictures you do want your lips to show up a little bit and not be like invisible. So this was the perfect lipstick for that. It's just really pretty, and it's matte, but not drying matte. It's kind of like a perfect satin matte actually, and it was kiss proof pretty much. And it was like, we went to dinner afterwards and it was kind of like eat proof. It didn't like fluff off or patch off too badly or anything like that. So this is the final look, and I really like the way it turned out yet again. I think that this is a great look for pretty much anybody. You know, I think that this is a nice soft look. It's pretty, it's glamish, but not too much. It kind of just, it doesn't take away from like your dress, it doesn't take away from anything else. It just like kind of completes it, if that makes sense. So yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. I will try to remember to link every product I used down in the description box below. And also, if you haven't gone and checked out the Aruba honeymoon vlog, please do. Shameless self promo. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.